Hello students, this is Dan Lewis again, and we're teaching this poetic books from the Old Testament, from Job to the Song of Solomon. I hope that you have looked and you'll notice that I have given you a study question thing that it passed out. It's like you're in the book of Job, and it gives you an idea. You can download that. And this is a study guide for this class. Last week, remember that we had the introductory material, and that was for class 1. That was the first introductory thing. And if you look on this handout here where we have the breakdown of the different times and dates and schedule and so forth, that this week is the second week, and this is the week, class 2, that we're going to have the second video, and that's what we're doing right now. Now, as you've seen in the text and the assignment that was given, you were supposed to have read pages 9 through 96 of our text on the book of Job, and this is a very good, this is the first part of the book of Job, and it gives us idea of the whole general theme of the book of Job. So what I want you to do is, if you have your text, your handbook on the wisdom that we have of the wisdom books and Psalms, we're going to begin today to try to go through some of this. Again, if you have questions, please contact me, use the syllabus, whatever. But we're going to address the book of Job today, and we're going to, in this video, we're going to cover basically the questions 1 through 13 on your study guide that I passed out, that I have given you, the student study guide for this book. So what I mean by this is basically, as we go through the text, I'm going to highlight different things. I expect you to be able to remember those things by making a note of it. You know, I use these, which I think are very effective in my books, and you can use those. Make a note, little notes along the way, and highlight different things. It'll save you a lot of effort trying to find something in the future. I know I get lost sometimes myself. So we have a little bit of the preface here as you open up your textbook and look by your questions that we have for this course, the ones that will be studied, and something that you can use to help you with the upcoming tests. So the first one here, we find here that why is Job considered one of the most renowned pieces of literature in the world? And if you look here, you'll find that on page 11, it speaks about this in the opening part of the book here. It says it's because of the fact that it is really one of the greatest masterpieces, not only in the Bible, but in all of world literature. Now that's a tall claim, but it's in actuality that's true. So why is it considered one of the most renowned books of the literature in the world? Because it is so famous for what it's done. In a day when having everything that goes around us, sometimes some of the most profound theological and philosophical questions are raised by human beings, and one of them is what is found in the book of Job, and that is that of suffering. So you'll notice here on page 11 that that's why it is one of the most renowned pieces of literature, is because of its address by God of a certain philosophical things. Now, what are some of the significant things that Job does that acknowledges that he had relationship with God of the Bible? Well, if you read the text, if you read Job 1 and 2, and by the way, in this course, at some point there'll be a question, did you read the book, all these 5 books? So take a little bit each week and just keep plugging away. But since we're getting into this, and with our textbook, if you read the first Job 1 and 2, you'll find an unbelievable story of a man who was faithful to God, loved his children, was very wealthy. He prayed for his family, offered sacrifices when he thought that his children might have sinned. Now this man, as we find here in this question, what is basically his place, why is he considered this? Basically, some of the most important things is that he acknowledges his relationship with God. And that is very important. That's something where we all want to begin our lives with. So we find that some of the significant things, though, and you'll notice on your questions, what are some of the significant things that Job does that acknowledges he had a relationship with God? And we said basically he offered sacrifices. He prayed for his family. He was a godly man. It said that he kept away from evil. And that's what chapters 1 and 2 kind of reveal. So, number 3, what are some of the significant things that Job does that acknowledges he had a relationship with God in the Bible? Well, we could say basically that he was one who feared God, Now, what's one of the most significant theological mysteries of the book of Job? Well, basically that he believed God, and he went through a time where God, it appears as though, did certain things that really cause everybody to question. Why would God allow Satan to negotiate with God and allow this godly man to go through suffering? Now, you may have known some people, maybe you've gone through it yourself personally, and you said, why is it that God seems to do this, and why do I have to go through this? What is the purpose of this? The reality is that this is a mystery. One of the mysteries here is that understanding why God allows suffering. Now, that's one of the biggest questions philosophically. That's why a lot of people don't want to believe God, why a lot of people turn from God. A lot of people don't follow God because they say, you know what? With all the suffering in the world, there couldn't be a living God that would allow this and continue on. And so this kind of answers a question. You're going to see through the book, it's going to be puzzling because for most of the book, God is silent towards Job. Silent towards Job. So we find that the author of this book, and this is something that is interesting, who wrote the book of Job, we really don't know. There's a lot of speculation about it. Some have guessed that it was maybe during the time of the patriarchs when with Moses, or maybe with even back as far as Adam, some of these things. And some have said it around 2000 BC that could have happened. Some believe that it was wide use of various dates have been by different scholars. Nobody's really sure. Some believe that even it was the time of Moses, and then some believe that even it was the 8th century BC. And this may have related to around a number of things, possibly with the Babylonian Talmud, maybe the time of Solomon, maybe the time of Jeremiah or Lamentations, when Jeremiah wrote Lamentations. The issue is we don't know. We just don't know. But it's a very old book. The interesting factor to remember here is this, that why would he be offering sacrifices to the God of heaven? And they were blood sacrifices. Where did he get that information from? That happened starting back with Moses and Abraham, and back even as far as Adam and Eve. And when God offered the animals and covered them and shed the blood of animals, and then you have Cain and Abel and so forth. And even Noah and all the patriarchs were involved in animal sacrifices and shedding of blood. Where do you get that information? So this is a puzzling thing as to when the book of Job was written, but it's really something that since we don't know, we can't speculate any more than what we have. It's just very old. Another interesting thing that is a mystery of the book is that really there's no mention whatsoever of the Mosaic or the Levitical laws. None of Moses' laws through the book of Leviticus are recorded. So that's something that you just have to take in place. Well, why is Job doing what he's doing? And the reality is we just don't know. But it passed the canon, the test of canon to be in the scriptures because of its incredible input. So let's move along quickly here. As you see on here, what was the name of Job's three friends? He had Eliphaz, Bildad on page 35. You can see that. And Zophar. Those three individuals, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Then along came later Elihu, who was we find that number 8 here of your question, who was Elihu? He was a younger man who presented a what would we say, a counsel to Job, because after Job had suffered these tremendous things, remember, his children were killed in an accident when the house caved in. His crops were destroyed. His cattle and all of his valuables were destroyed. He was left with really very little. And we find that in chapter 2, after Satan had gone to God a second time, as you've read in those 2 chapters, we find that Job's body was touched and he was filled with boils and sores, and even his wife came, and even in a time of need, she said to him basically, why don't you curse God and die? This man suffered, and there was no reason why he suffered. There's nothing. It was just behind the scenes. He didn't see the atmospheric thing that was going on between God and Satan. So, these 3 friends that came eventually later on, and we find there in page 35, they came, and and how they set up in page 36, excuse me, that these were different individuals that came and possibly gave him different things to notice here. Now, you notice that the book of Job demonstrates that although, and this is on page 25, the book of Job demonstrates that although practical wisdom is reliable to a certain extent, it must not be taken as the sum total of divine wisdom. In other words, you know what? Man can figure out so much. They can offer counsel and opinion, but unless it's based on truth and really revelational truth about what is actually true, it's only speculation. So common sense, practical wisdom, whatever, can only be taken so far, and until it is, and it must not be taken as the sum of the total of divine revelation or divine wisdom, because really there's no reason why God did what he did to Job. And someone would say, I have a problem with that. Well, the issue is that God will be God. We're going to learn in this course some very wonderful things about that. Now, number 13, Job demonstrates that there is a mystery and wonder in Yahweh's world, and true wisdom must acknowledge and embrace that aspect of reality. That's on page 25. And that kind of gives quite of an understanding. There's so much mystery and wonder in this world. And it's God's plan and God's way. He's going to reveal so much to man, but he's not going to give him all the answers. And we won't know that until we see him one day face to face in heaven. So, this is a little general summary here. So, just in review, why is Job considered one of the most renowned pieces of literature in the world? It's basically on page 11, first paragraph. It's just a masterpiece of wisdom that's been known worldwide forever. That it's substantially really that of God. Then number 2, what are some of the significant things that Job does that acknowledges that he had a relationship with God? Well, basically that he was worshiping God. He made sacrifices to God. He was a man of purity in his heart and his attitude towards God. Then number 3, what are some of the significant things that Job does that acknowledges he had a relationship with God? That's just a redone here of number 2. So number 4, what is one of the most significant theological mysteries about the book that Job relays? Well, basically, the mystery is that why does God allow suffering? And we find that is kind of significant as you look through the Bible, and as you read the first 2 or 3 chapters, you'll see just unbelievable how that lays out. Then we find out who wrote the book of Job. Number 5, we're not sure. We just don't know. It was very old. It was very ancient. But all the speculation that's gone on, nobody's really sure. What was the date of the writing of the book? Not sure of that either. Certainly long before possibly Israel came into existence as through Jacob or so forth, but we're not sure. What are the name of Job's 3 friends? And remember, we gave you that. That's found on page that was on page 35. Excuse me. It was Eliphaz, Bildad, and Ziphor. And then Elihu was another younger man that came along, which is the answer there to 8, who was a younger counsel, who kind of challenged the older men and came up with his own appraisal of Job's troubles. What are the 2 things to acknowledge about the setting of the book? That's number 9. Well, we find that it was in the land of Uz, which if you look on the old ancient maps, it appears as though that might probably have been Edom, the land of Edom, which was on the eastern side of the Jordan River. The story was in a non-Israel setting. That's on page 22. These are found. The land of Uz, not Oz, but the land of Uz, and it was probably Edom, and the story was set in a non-Israelite setting. What were the 3 possible purposes of the book? Number 10 here. Basically, on page 23, it gives those 3 things. That number 1, to challenge the mistaken assumption that personal sin is always the cause for suffering. Number 2, to explore human limitations in probing the issue of divine justice. So you have limitations. We just don't know why God allows certain things. So the probing of that by humans is limited. And then number 3, the sovereign ruler of the universe, Yahweh, is free and beyond comprehension. As much as Job's friends and Elihu tried to figure out how God thought about Job and why he was doing what he was doing, they couldn't figure it out. It's incomprehensible. God will be incomprehensible. He'll reveal as much as he wants through the Word of God, but we'll never be able to quite figure him out. Then number 11, what is the underlying issue of the book of Job? Page 24, whether Job's relationship with God is indeed contingent upon the blessings that he's received, or whether he will hold on to God in the face of his apparent abandonment. That's the whole key that we can get a great thing out of. Life will not always deal you the best issues in life. You'll go through things. If you're worth your salt and you love God, God will put you and test you through things. Job went through totally unexplained. It appeared as though God had abandoned him. But we find that God remained and desired to do whatever he desired, and we must hold on to God. As one of the chapters in the book of Job speaks about, that he says, I went to the right, I went to the left, I sought him in front of me and back of me, I could not find him. I wanted to talk to him, but lo and behold, I clung to him, and God saw me through, and I came through. And that really is part of the whole issue. Number 12, the book of Job demonstrates that although practical wisdom, this is page 25, although practical wisdom is reliable to a certain extent, it must not be taken as the sum total of divine wisdom. Again, really have a lot of common sense. We can figure some things out, but we're never going to be able to get the whole picture of divine wisdom. Lastly, Job demonstrated that there's a mystery and wonder in Yahweh's world, and true wisdom must acknowledge and embrace that aspect of reality. That's on page 25. I'll repeat that again. Job demonstrated that there is a mystery and a wonder in Yahweh's world, and the true wisdom must acknowledge and embrace that aspect of reality exists. Okay? So I want you to look over those questions, and we'll pick up from there next time. And we also, as you look in class 2, I want you to go to the discussion question in through Populi, the number 1 question, and I want you to look at that. I want you to reason with it. I want you to put together, I believe it's a 140 to 150 word post. Once that's posted, get it done probably by Thursday night so that everybody will have their posts in, and then through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can respond to one of the posts. So don't wait till beyond Thursday night or you're going to be in trouble. Okay? So you need to post yours by Thursday night. Everybody needs to post theirs by Thursday night so that when it comes the next day, people will have a choice to make who they're going to respond to. Okay, we're thankful that you're in this class again. Now let me pray. Father, bless and guide as we study this wonderful book, Job, and then as we progress on through the other books. Give the student wisdom and guidance. Help them with their studies. For Jesus' sake we pray. Amen. God bless.